Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's read this lawsuit that Justin Baldoni is suing the New York Times for libel. And let's go over what he's actually suing for. Let me pull up my slide. Oh, Lordy. So his lawsuit against the New York Times is for libel, uh, false light invasion of privacy. And this word always trips me up. Is it promissory fraud, breach of implied and in fact contract? And he's suing in regards to this article. This is the article that the New Yorker put out, I think, on the 21st of December. So this is the article around what he's suing. Now, Blake Lively has put out a lawsuit suing him and his company. And she put out some receipts. This lawsuit, Justin came with the receipts. So we're going to go over this lawsuit, but just do some housekeeping before we do. Y'all, please like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all share this video if you care. Y'all, please support this channel. And these are the ways that you can support. You can bless my Cash App, but mostly I would love for you to hit that like button. And once you hit that like button, if you like what you see, subscribe. And once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of movies and television series that I have reviewed. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. Now, Justin Baldoni filed this lawsuit in the Superior Court of the state of California for the County of Los Angeles Central District. So this is the Wayfarer Studios. Now that is the studio that Justin Baldoni co-owns with Jamie Heath, Steve Sourwitz, Melissa Nathan, individuals. The agency group, PR LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, Jennifer Abel, an individual, RWA Communications, a California limited liability company, Jed Wallace, an individual, and Street Relations Incorporated, a California corporation, versus the New York Times Company. And again, I will read over. They are suing. The complaint for damages is libel, false light invasion of privacy, promissory fraud, and breach of contract, and they are demanding a jury trial. So let's get on what's going on. Says plaintiffs Wayfarer Studios LLC, and herein Wayfarer, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sourwitz, Melissa Nathan, the agency group, Jennifer Abel, the RWA Communications, Jed Wallace, and Street Relations, collectively the plaintiffs, by and through their counsel, hereby bring the following cause of action against defendants: the New York Times Company, here in NYT or the Time, and those 1 through 100, inclusive, collectively defendants, and with knowledge as to themselves and otherwise, or information and belief, claim and alleges as follows. At 9:46 p.m. on Friday, December 21st, 2024, New York Times reporter Megan Twohy requested plaintiffs respond to an imminent 4,000-word bombshell story concerning their alleged orchestration of a smear campaign targeting Blake Lively. Purportedly in response to Lively's disclosure of concerns about the working environment on the set of It Ends With Us, the film. The film's production company, Wayfarer, its principals, Baldoni and Heath, and its public relations representative, Nathan and Abel, were asked to provide, quote, on the record comment and to notify the Times of any inaccuracies by noon Eastern Standard Time the next day. On December 21st, 2024, a mere 14 hours overnight. Plaintiff's representative promptly denied Lively's accusation as reported by the Times and criticized both Lively and the Times' reliance on cherry-picked and altered communications stripped of necessary context and deliberately spliced to mislead. That's going to be important. Despite its claims to have reviewed these along with other documents, the Times relied almost entirely on Lively's unverified and self serving narrative, lifting it nearly verbatim while disregarding an abundance of evidence that contradicted her claims and exposed her true motives. But the Times did not care. Given the breadth of the article and the coordinated drop, it is readily apparent that the Times had been quietly working in concert with Lively's team for weeks or months. The Times participated the, the Times participated actively in the legal maneuvering at the heart of Lively's strategy. Notably, Lively chose not to file a lawsuit against Baldoni, Wayfair, or any of the plaintiffs, a choice that spared her from the scrutiny of the discovery process, including answering questions under oath, producing her communication. This decision was no accident. First, her administrative complaint is rife with blatant falsehoods and egregious misrepresentation that would have subjected her to dismissal if not sanctioned. Second, pursuing formal legal action would have derailed her true objective, an orchestrated campaign to rehabilitate her public image. Instead, Lively filed a request for a right to sue letter with the California Civil Rights Department, a procedural formality that does not require pleadings, remains confidential unless leaked as it was here, and crucially, does not subject the complainant to discovery. While such a letter can precede a lawsuit, it is clear that litigation was never her ultimate goal. Her real intention was to weaponize the appearance of legitimacy conferred by a numbered legal document to launch salacious, headline grabbing allegations and reshape her public persona at the expense of the plaintiffs. Lively found willing allies at the New York Times, which uncritically embraced her CRD complaint as fact and disregarded the plaintiff's emphatic objections. Without even waiting for the response deadline of noon on December 21st, 2024, the Times rushed to publish its inflammatory article, "We Can Buy Anyone," inside a Hollywood smear machine at 10:11 a.m., nearly 2 hours earlier. This brazen disregard for journalistic integrity and fairness resulted in an article that resulted in an article rife with inaccuracies and misrepresentations and omissions. In an era where public trust in the media has reached a historic low and legacy outlets are increasingly criticized as biased and agenda driven, the Time has chosen to double down on sensationalism and oversimplified narrative. Rather than striving for accuracy and balance, it has prioritized hollow signaling over substantive reporting, further eroding its credibility and exacerbating the very mistrust it claims to combat. The article central thesis encapsulated in a defamatory headline designed to immediately mislead the reader is the plaintiff's orchestrated and a retaliatory public relations campaign against Lively for speaking out for sexual harassment. I'm going to read that over again. Let me adjust this light a little bit. Yeah, let me see if I can do it like that. And I'm going to reread it again. The article's central thesis, encapsulated in a defamatory headline designed to immediately mislead the reader, is that plaintiffs orchestrated a retaliatory public relations campaign against Lively for speaking out about sexual harassment. So basically, the way the article read was that because she spoke out about sexual harassment, there was this campaign to shut her up by the public relations department. So the public relations machine was trying to shut her up. A premise that is categorically false and easily disproven. If the Times truly reviewed the thousands of private communications it claimed to have obtained, its reports would have seen in, incontrovertible anyway evidence that it was Lively, not plaintiffs, who engaged in a calculated smear campaign. The complete communications demonstrates beyond question that plaintiff had no intention of destroying or burying Lively through aggressive tactics. On the contrary, Baldoni consistently expressed his desire to avoid harming Lively and protect the film, but also recognized a legitimate need for public relation protection in light of Lively's false and damaging claims. So let's get into this, because there are numerous text messages. There are series and series and series of text messages. So I am going to read these text messages so that you all can have a clear understanding about what's going on. So this is written by, this is a message on Monday, August 19th at 7 a.m., 7:01 a.m. by Melissa Nathan. It says, "Good morning. Sharing with you a perfect example of why we don't use bots. I wouldn't even worry to think that they've hired a team, nothing to find. Nothing to find. B, they hired an awful team, which I've sent to our guy to track and pull so we have evidence of it. This below should answer everyone's question on what a bot team looks like when every single comment suddenly skews in her favor in a nonsensical way." And so they have this Instagram post that they were referring to. "At least sprinkle them in. She needs to fire her bot team. How can we?" Now, this is Justin. So, let's go back. I'm sorry, y'all. So Melissa Nathan said that. And so a guy named Justin, this is Justin Baldoni. "How can we say somehow that we are not doing any of this? It looks like we are trying to take her down." Melissa Nathan: "It doesn't. They are doing all of this themselves, and it's really obvious. This is bots." And so they have I can't read that. It's too blurry for me to see it. But she puts an example of what the bot is. So Justin says, "Okay, please monitor. Things I'm more worried about is that we are planting this story, which is not true, obviously." And then Jean Abel, from her old number, because she changed her number, chiming in here: "The people say that there are bots and this is a PR play on your side, is a minority voice compared to the thousands and thousands." And they redacted whatever was said here, "who are calling it what it is and reacting to Blake's own actions and interviews. We never want the action of the minority to dictate what we do on our own end. We have to always look at the big picture, which is still enormously on your side. But I do see a want and need from fans to move on. People are now commenting that they are bored with the many articles still coming out about this drama. When we move on, they do too. We still need to find a way to keep elevating not just the DV reaction, but also the other things in your life, like family, being back home, and Wayfarer. That's not tone deaf, in my opinion, but sends the message that you are focusing on what really matters. And that's what will help with the Blake narrative, too, in my point of view." So there's a series of other text messages. It says here, it ends with us. Sony chief praises Blake Lively for advancing the conversation around domestic violence. And it says, they messaged me 5 times before this went up. Tag team. Exclusive. Blake Lively was really impatient on its end with us set as drama rumors swirl. Tension was so obvious. And then Jamie Heath, who is another producer and co-owner of Wayfair Production, says, so glad Blake was praised. Let her get a win. It would be nice to have a Sony executive praise Justin. So then on Tuesday, August 27th at 8:08, excuse me, 8:48, something was redacted. It says removed Jen Abel do not use from the conversation. So it must be her number. And then it's redacted. It says added Jen Abel's new number to the conversation. The article predicated on Lively's CRD complaint, which references text exchanges between Nathan and Abel as purported evidence that Nathan planted a negative story in the Daily Mail titled, Is Blake Lively Set to Be Canceled? Lively's portrayal is categorically false, misleading, and devoid of factual basis, yet knowingly endorsed by the Times, which claims to have reviewed thousands of pages of text messages and emails. The smear campaign hinges on an August 16th text message in which Nathan allegedly shared a link to this article with Abel. The text exchange shows Abel responding, wow, followed by, you really outdid yourself with this one. To which Nathan allegedly replied, that's why you hired me, right? I am the best. These messages constitute the entirety of the purported evidence underlying the allegations of a smear campaign orchestrated on behalf of Baldoni. So here's what we have. So the way that they have worked this out is in the green is what was included in the article, and then in the red was which was excluded from the article. So let's read. It says, could Blake Lively be canceled? Gene Abel, wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece. And it says, that's why you hired me, right? I'm the best. So that's the exchange. So it made it look like that there was some kind of campaign going on to smear Blake Lively. So then you see what was excluded. Heading to the airport, and there is a drive-through the jungle that there's going to be no reception for around 24 hours. And it says joke, 45 minutes. Then Gene Abel says, I'm sorry, you bring offline for 45 minutes was not included in the scope. Unacceptable. And then something about from Melissa Nathan. Let's see if it's on the next page. It's not. Well, yes, it is. Melissa Nathan. It says canceled, and the mail is going nuts. And it says, damn, this is unfair because also not me. Everything now looks like it was me. Maybe not you. No, it totally does look like his side. So it says here, the Times, however, was aware that these text messages were unscrupulously altered and selectively edited, enabling both Lively and her team and the Times to propagate a false smear campaign narrative designed to destroy plaintiffs. Specifically, in the immediately preceding text exchange on August 16th, Nathan forwarded a screenshot of messages from a reporter informing her for the first time of the Daily Mail article. In response, Nathan wrote, damn, this is not fair because it also not me, followed by, everything now looks like it's me, conclusively refuting her involvement in the creation of the disseminated article. Further evidence of the Times' complicity arises from its apparent endorsement of the criminal alteration of these text messages by Lively. After Nathan forwarded a screenshot of the article link, Abel responded with, quote, you really outdid yourself with this piece, with an upside down smiley face, adding a upside down smiley face to indicate that the sarcastic nature of her message. The upside down smiley face emoji is commonly used to convey irony, sarcasm, joking, or a sense of goofiness or silliness. Now, y'all, I can't see this. Hold on just one moment. Give me one moment, y'all. When I can't read it, I got to go to. We're on page 8, it looks like. And I should have started reading it from this in the first place, but all right, hold on just one moment. Hmm. All right. Further evidence Further evidence of the Times' complicity arises from its apparent endorsement of criminal alterations. I hope you all can see that. There we go. Of these text messages by Lively. After Nate, okay, we read all of that. So what I was trying to do was to read these texts because they were really small, and sometimes for some reason StreamYard doesn't allow for you to zoom when you upload the PDF to their system. So it says here, on August 16th, Miss Nathan circulated a Daily Mail article entitled "String of Hard to Watch Videos That Have Surfaced Following Tone Deaf Q&A to Promote It Ends With Us Could Tarnish 36-year-old star's golden Hollywood image for good." To which Miss Abel responded, "Wow, you really outdid yourself." You remember we read that. And so this is the thing. So these are the messages that are in green that were included. And then these messages following were excluded. And so this is what we read before. We actually read this before. So let's read what was excluded. Heading to the airport. We read this. Why are they giving this back to us again? Anyway, let's keep going because we've read those. I'm sorry, I had to waste some time just doing that, and we've read that. In her CRD complaint, Lively deliberately excluded not only the preceding screenshot of the text exchange disproving Nathan's involvement in the story, but also the upside down smiley emoji, which fundamentally alters the sarcastic tone of Abel's messages and misleads the reader into interpreting her response as serious. This omitted context is critical as it demonstrates that each subsequent message in the exchange was similarly intended as sarcasm, including Nathan's statement, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." Further review of the text message exchange, also excluded from both Lively's CRD complaint and the Times article, unequivocally shows that Abel and Nathan were engaging in a sarcastic and joking manner, as evidenced by the use of the haha tap back reaction. When read in full, the exchange reveals Nathan and Abel engaging in facetious juvenile banter, not conspiring against Lively. The Times relied on Lively's CRD complaint and, based solely on this exchange, intentionally duped readers into believing that Baldoni orchestrated a quote smear campaign, purportedly using Nathan and Abel as his accomplices. Indeed, the Times, like Lively, misrepresented these communications to support its salacious and unfounded smear campaign narrative. This calculated distortion underscores the article's lack of credibility and its reliance on sensationalism over substantive truth. Any negative press about Lively was unequivocally a consequence of her own actions. Even the Times itself acknowledged Lively's public missteps in an August 17, 2024 article titled, "It Ends With Us, the Press Tour Drama Explained." In it, reporter Shivani Gonzalez observed, Lively's promotion of the movie has included a push for her new hair care line, discussion of the clothes in the movie, and response to questions about abuse, which have been criticized as shallow and tone deaf. Baldoni, by contrast, has emphasized the importance of raising awareness of domestic violence and providing resources for those in similar situations. Reporter says Blake Lively's little bump taunt felt like a bullet. Reporter says Blake Lively's little bump taunt felt like a bullet. TMZ, LMA. Oh, we interviewed her too. Let me find that interview. Blank Turk. Melissa Nathan. When? Also, what the F? Why am I in this too? And it says, and this is supposed to be TMZ. You're a starlet. F this week. How was the stunt? Lively's marketing efforts, which included encouraging audiences to grab your friends, wear your florals, while promoting her hair care and alcohol brands, were widely criticized as insensitive. This was particularly glaring given World Health Organization statistics showing that 55% of domestic violence incidents involve alcohol. Her actions naturally triggered organic public criticism and unleashed a cycle of negative coverage, including, as is common in the digital age, the resurfacing of old, unflattering content. So let's see what this content is. It says new name available from Nathan, Melissa Nathan, tag team member. We didn't tell Jed to go after the idea that her promo was inappropriate. That happened organically because people saw the actual movie and were like, wait, this is a movie about domestic violence. That they wore florals too. Zoe sent me this on Saturday and goes, this is a crazy way to market this movie. So there is a TikTok uh, video that they were talking about. It says, watch and follow and discover more trending content. This is a TikTok ad. Now, I can't see what that says, so we're just going to go on. And it says, like, come on, we had nothing to do with that. So apparently she was advertising her liquor line and her beauty line and all of this stuff. Hey, Kat, I didn't see. Let me make this bigger because I'm trying to read all this with the cup of coffee that I had. I'm fumbling and stumbling. Hey, Kat. What is this? We're not checking out any songs, Skid. Will be interesting if New York Times responds with an argument that is inconsequential to leave out emoji and subsequent text. Happy New Year, Melly. So many TikTok. That weekend was wild. I imagine it was. Now, I do remember watching, because again, things come across, YouTube and things come across your feed. But I remember watching her do an interview with the lady, and the lady just, because it looked like Blake Lively was pregnant during this interview. And the lady said, oh, I love your bump. And she was something, it was just like, oh, I like your bump. And then her and her co-star sat there and decided to just mean girl this interviewer. I mean, they kind of just iced her out of the whole interview and they started talking to themselves and she couldn't get a question or anything in edgewise. And I looked and I thought, this is weird. This is really, really weird. Now, I will tell you, I didn't know a whole lot about Blake Lively other than the fact that she was at the Met Gala and she was a fashionista. So as I was going through today, I find out that her and Ryan Reynolds were married on a continually active plantation that back in the day uh, had enslaved Africans there. And they got married on there. And I think somebody mentioned it's, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to get to all of that. because this is amazing. This is amazing how and also to me this is kind of dangerous, and I'm going off in a tangent. I'm on number 14, but this just made me hit. And this is the thing, I think a lot of times you will hear people talk about certain white women, how they weaponize uh they can weaponize their tears, or when they don't get their way, they decide that they want to use abuse, neglect, or things against you to get their way. And this, the way this reads, the way this complaint reads, it's kind of falling in there, and that is really, really ashamed. If all of this stuff was going on, this really, really is a shame. So let's continue. I'm getting back to what I was doing. Far from being the product of a calculated smear campaign by plaintiffs, the backlash against Lively was the inevitable fallout of her own tone deaf messaging and self promotional tactics, amplified by her inability to read the room in addressing such a serious subject. So let's read what's on here. This is not us, correct? Assuming the guy we brought in would never do this. And it has 160 likes. 25 comments. Team Blakely details on my website. So again, this is a TikTok by Perez Hilton. I guess he did a TikTok talking about how she was acting. Melissa Nathan said, none of us would ever do this. Also, no one even pays any attention to this person past 2005. Oops. I'm sorry. Well, I'll be doggone, Perez Hilton. No one is paying attention to you, huh? Oh my goodness. After you had that fallout with who was it? Was it Lady Gaga back in the day? He kind of, like he was canceled before anyone knew what canceled was. But let's continue. Wow, that was strong. He's not relevant. He does not create a news headline. He does not get picked up. He's just now a troll. There is not one outlet that would cover anything he said or take it seriously. I think as well as there is I think as well there is this struggle where it's kind of maybe even unbelievable the way that people are turning against her, but they are organically. It's organic. She's blown herself up by her own actions. Unearthed Blake Lively. So they were going back pulling up her old stuff. Unearthed Blake Lively interview shows her use a slur for trans people. And so I guess it's Melissa again who says this just ran. Obviously, none of us knew about this either. But once media goes on, they go in. Once media goes in, they go in. And the best thing we can do right now is to be quiet. Let's get through this week together. Then just move on and back to regular planning with Instagram posts and thoughtful ideas and messages. The content creators are on fire, and Justin, she has handed it to them all on a plate. Just concentrate on the success of the movie, your family, and your next project. I have this weird feeling that she's going to reach out to you for a conversation in the next couple of weeks, or he will. And I'm wondering if he will means her husband Ryan. Baby, yes. I'm so tickled. I'm so tickled because he caught that stray, and it may have been well intentioned because, honey, I remember Perez Hilton back in the day, and I remember that back and forth that he had with Lady Gaga. Because at one point he was almost like acting as if he was her press secretary. Some people also can't take criticism and compartmentalize it as being some scheme from some specific hater. Exact. Right. Right. Ooh. This is what I love about reading this stuff, because when they pull the receipts, they pull the receipts. So this is Saturday, August 24th at 1:26 p.m. And so there is an article or something that has been linked. It says Blake Lively fearing for her career amid it ends with us backlash. And it says, tag team. God, I'm so over this. I'm sure Leslie thinks we placed this one as well. Melissa Nathan says, yep, and same. The article also deliberately ignores that Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, of Vision PR, once backed by Harvey Weinstein, seeded stories critical of Baldoni, including that Baldoni was a sexual predator ahead of the film's release. Sloan did so even while Nathan attempted to cooperate in good faith. So let's read what Sloan says. Leslie Sloan, yes, please, as thus info is all wrong. She didn't require script runs, nothing to do with this. She produced the film, Sin GAD a cut. I don't know who GAD a cut. What WTF is going on? The whole cast doesn't like Justin. Nothing you do with Blake. Then James says, like I said though, the reporting is that there were issues between her and Justin as well as others, and that Justin found it difficult to work with her. One of these reporters known is close with Steph Jones because they used to always get Tom Brady, Giselle's uh shit, and Steph reps him, I believe. I told them she is awful and not to rely on anything she says. Leslie says, I'm telling you she's a liar. They are panicked as the whole cast hates him. So they want to run something based on this reporting, and I want to shut it down, but need something to shut it down with. I know she's a liar. I just need to get my editor on board because she has 3 reporters feeding her BS to from LA. Leslie Sloan, I promise she is lying. This will not look good for your site. The entire cast, I will have to go on record. The entire cast will have to go on record. James, can you give me anything at all on what the issue is than if it's not her and it's him? No, I'm in a plane and this needs to hold. Sounds good. I'd like to clear this shit up. Okay. So here's the truth. Oh, I hate things when they're so small. Don't they realize that some people are visually impaired around here? All right, so I'm going to do my best to read what's in here, unless this is this. Okay, this is this. Okay. Whew, thank the Lord. Says James. She said the whole cast hits Justin. This has nothing to do with Blake. And now she's saying that Blake was SA'd. Why wouldn't she say anything about that then? She knows she's full of shit. She told me that the whole issue was that everybody hates Justin. Nothing about Blake and Justin. She said it has nothing to do with Blake. Bullshit. Oh, Lord. So, oh, Lord. Anything you have is helpful. Thank you 1,000. Thank you times 1,000. Brian Friedman. Thanks, Melissa. I really appreciate it, James. So this is James Daily Mail. Brian, it would be easier to send you the screen recording of our conversation, which I scrolled through slowly in the conversation. You can see that Leslie bashes Melissa, tries to get me to say that Melissa was planning stories and bad-mouthing Blake. She also goes off calling Steph Jones a liar, and never once did she mention anything about the sexual harassment. Here's the screenshot recording, and so she has all of that. Let's go back up. Let's see. They didn't finish. So it says something about also something had with Leslie. We talked for a while, and during the conversation, Leslie asked me who it was that Melissa reps, who is with Tag PR. What happened with that? He'll take situation. He will take situation. Ooh, they be typing so fast and it doesn't make sense sometimes. She also told me that Melissa is not a real PR agency and that they don't have any good clients. She told me that she did not like Melissa on multiple occasions. She also told us to redacted who does not work with us anymore. She also asked about Steph Jones, who she said who She was what she did, where she works, who works with her. She had called her a liar too in the text messages. This is they know who they're talking about, but we don't know who they're talking about. So all this she's and he's getting me confused. Also, she has a history of lying. This is a clear example she gave me. Information on a story about Redacted and the real reason that he got off stage during a performance. She gave me the info. We printed the info. Redacted didn't like it. So she's coming back and saying the following. Something was incorrect in conference. We'll discuss after. Oh, Lord. So this is James at the Daily Mail. Many times she gives us information and then her clients get mad and then she comes back and says that she never gave it to us and it's a lie. I had many conversations with her about Blake and never once did she say anything about sexual assault. SA. I had a three-way call with her and Melissa and she never said anything. Many times. Okay. I hope this helps in some way. If nothing else, it shows she doesn't like Melissa, and she's tried numerous times to get me to say that Melissa was planning stories or that Melissa was bad mouthing Blake after I told her countless times it was not the case. She kept going. I'll call your boss. She's a piece of work. Oh, Lord. But I'm giving y'all the stuff. Let me see because I want to catch up. What is this? Jennifer Lopez hate train lasted way longer than Blake's this year. People have hated her since Gossip Girls. Wow. Like I said, what I know about her is her clothes. Whoever's her stylist is a good stylist. That's what I know about her. All of this stuff is new to me, but it's interesting because of the fact that, people were talking about this case having some Amber Heard and Johnny Depp type situations, but as we get on, it seems a little bit more nefarious than that. So it says here, this is TMZ. I figured I got some video from May of 17th of Blake and Justin on the set in Hoboken. They are in an animated conversation, so wanting to see if they want to give any background or context. Between us, the video isn't really great, mostly doing it because of all the speculation about the feud. Melissa Nathan. It's not even between us, LOL. It's a something. So this is TMZ. People's story about JB false about cast crew hating him. We are told cast crew find Justin a nice guy. Don't take as harsh of a side behind scenes as it is being reported. At this point, we're told it's being milked for publicity. Justin's over it. It really was creative differences between Blake and Justin, but wasn't nearly as bad as reported. Blake's huge ego, etc., is the reporting. Melissa Nathan. I'm in a hurricane, NPR in Puerto Rico. And TMZ, OMG, are you okay? Yes. And I just ate a poke bowl. TMZ, I'd be so ill. Do you have sources? BL camp keeps think Blake Lively's camp keeps thinking it's us placing and we are something. Placing and we are doing F all. Yes, on production. They have they've had a producer working overtime and spoke to people on production and post. Wait till I tell you the whole story. We are legit saying source says it's all Blake's ego. You have no idea. You think you do not. In my whole career, I've never come across this situation. But why aren't people saying the real story if known? Can I call you back? And may I make a suggestion for you lawyers that put these complaints together? Just add some pages. I'd rather it be a little longer when everything is down in a row. My brain can't comprehend all, because again, I'm old school and we lead left to right, but some things are right to left. y'all just put each section in one page. That's just Pamela. Okay. Let's see. They're liking City. Okay, so this is Leslie Sung. Good for you. I know you're friends with Melissa. James. Yes, we are. Leslie. I'm not paid to take people down. I'm honest. She hasn't done anything literally anti-Blake. Leslie Sung. Okay. She told me the same. She told me the same thing that she told you, which is she said that Blake backlash is organic. Leslie Sloan. It's not. She did nothing but help get a movie make tons of money. Justin makes tons. She was kind of off promoting it as if it was Barbie. It's just based on the things that she said directly. So this is a statement. This is Jennifer Abel to Melissa, Brianna, and three more. This is a forward statement for TMZ. Jamie and team FYI from Charles Neff. Subject statement for TMZ. And this was written Wednesday, August 14, 2024 at 11:45 a.m. It says, hello. I am a reporter at TMZ and I'm reaching out to get a statement regarding some information. We are being told there are at least 3 HR complaints filed against Justin Baldoni on the set of It Ends With Us. We wanted to see if the complaints were investigated and what the results were. Thank you. And it's TMZ. Reporter. A source close to set says they don't know of any investigation, but there was an intervention. We heard that there were multiple HR complaints from crew and cast, starting with the first day of production. Wayfarer is the studio. It is unclear if Wayfarer Studios performs an investigation into the claims against themselves. Separately, we are aware that there was an intervention with Justin Baldoni midway through production based on a pattern of inappropriate behavior by him towards cast and crew. It says off record. The only complaint, which is not confirmed if it's official HR complaint, was a guy up for a gig on the crew complained the younger guy who got it did so because of ageism. There was investigation and found no wrongdoing. There are no other complaints, especially no other documented HR complaints. There was not an intervention on set or with members of the crew. This would be false to allude to. Blake and Ryan had Justin and his team over for a meeting where Blake expressed all of the things she was upset about. This was not Justin versus the team behind the film. It was his team versus Blake and Ryan, more of a contentious meeting. The way it reads now reads as if proper intervention with the cast and crew. Not true. Reporter. Ty, I just sent IM. I'll keep you posted. What is the email for Wayfair? I need to legal reach out. Happy to. I land in less than 2 hours. Thank you. Melissa Nathan says, thank you. Have a safe flight. I am not doing one thing without speaking to you. I'm not answering one email about this situation. I've told everyone to not do one thing, plant seed, even speak to one reporter, even on background. Now I'm involved. There will be no shock surprises to you. Leslie Sloan. She hearted it and said, me either. Tried you. Hi, I need to chat. Melissa says, hi, I want to get to a place where I can call. Oh, Lord. And we're just on page 22. To assert that plaintiffs orchestrated a premeditated smear campaign is to disregard objective evidence that unequivocally contradicts such claim. Even a cursory investigation by the Times would have exposed the baseless nature of Lively's allegation and the lack of factual support for her narrative. Most troubling, however, is the Times' deliberate omission of a critical player in this manufactured controversy, Stephanie Jones. Once Baldoni's and Wayfarer's trusted public relations representative, Jones not only had intimate access to the communication strategy and crisis management surrounding the film, but also played a pivotal role in leaking private communications cited in the article. Her betrayal, driven by a quid pro quo arrangement with Lively, appears aimed at shielding herself while aligning with Lively to curry favor and secure future opportunities. Okay. So this is why she's suing. She's suing Baldoni right now. But I've got her lawsuit. We'll just continue to read. All right, this is what we have. Stephanie Jones to you and Wayfarer Studios has been nice and fixed things for us in past. I can give her a call. That this is nothing. This is I guess it's supposed to be this is supposed to be a nothing burger. Stephanie Jones. On August 8th, 418, Jennifer Abel wrote, left word for somebody. She's been very nice in past, so we'll get this fixed. Stephanie Jones. Hi, I'm a reporter for Daily Mail, and I'm currently working on a story surrounding the recent rumors that there was a feud between It Ends With Us co-star Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. The Times compounding its journalistic failures by uncritically advancing Lively's substantiated claims of sexual harassment against Heath and Baldoni. For example, the article based on Lively's CRD complaint sensationally alleges that Mr. Heath had shown Lively a video of his naked wife, while Lively's CRD complaint even labeled the footage as pornography. This claim is patently absurd. The video in question was a non-pornographic recording of Heath's wife and baby during a home birth, a deeply personal one with no sexual overtone. To distort this benign event into an act of sexual misconduct is outrageous and emblematic of the lengths to which Lively and her collaborators are willing to go to defame the plaintiff. So I guess this is the copy of the picture. So let me go because I didn't realize it was, I forgot it was there. The Times' failure to scrutinize these claims or even provide a balanced account of the events further underscores its role in amplifying Lively's falsehood while abandoning its responsibility to truth and accuracy. The video was shown to Lively as part of a creative discussion in preparation for a birthing scene in the film. Heath informed Lively that his wife condoned his displaying of the video. Any suggestion that Heath engaged in the exhibition of pornography or inappropriate content is false. Adding to the sexual harassment narrative is the article parroted accusation that, quote, both men repeatedly entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including when she was breastfeeding. What Lively in the article failed to mention is that Lively invited Baldoni into her trailer while pumping to work out their lines. Text messages. Be lively. Blake, I'm so sorry to hear you and your baby are sick. Blake. Now, who wrote this? So this must be Baldoni. Okay. Blake, I'm so sorry to hear that you and your baby are sick. Broken heart. I know it's literally the last thing you need it right now on top of a tough week. I pray it comes and goes with the mild symptoms and more than anything that he's okay. If you feel up for it, I'm here absolutely anytime and would love to check in. I know this week was a lot and I'm committed to making things run smoother across the board. Blake Lively, our mistake. Molly did get the new pages at 11 p.m. last night. She didn't realize they were new. But new pages can always be sent to me as well, please, with an X. I guess that's supposed to be kissy. Kisses and hugs. X and O's, X and O's. Blake Lively. I'm just pumping in my trailer if you want to work out our lines. Justin Baldoni. Copy. Eating with crew, and I will head that way. Blake Lively. Take your time. Justin Baldoni. I'm here. I'll meet you in H/MU. Blake Lively. Sorry, I'm just seeing this. Here's a shorter version of Christie's original. R, you're upset. Lily doesn't answer. R, you didn't like the... so this is just the set stuff. So we're not going to read that. Likewise, the allegation that Baldoni inappropriately described Lively's character attire as sexy is exaggerated and misleading. The text exchange between Baldoni and Lively showed that Lively had insisted that her character's clothing be much sexier. When Baldoni later used the word sexy, he was just responding to her creative input, not objectifying her personally. Lively set the tone that Baldoni heeded during the creative process. Here we go. Break Lively. Just text Ange this also. We'll show you both ways, but Beanie is much sexier. It's the look. Feels TV without, especially with a crop top in the snow. It justifies the rest of the skin. And also is a girl I would check out walking down the street because it washes the effort off the rest of the look. Justin Baldoni. Good morning. If you don't have time to listen with morning craziness, here is text. Just want to make sure you're okay with throwing the jacket on from yesterday morning or putting it on your something. I want to line up a shot and see if I can just use a piece of the shoulder for the establishing shot, the old cafe we didn't get yesterday. I might not need it, but just want to cover. See you soon. If it's just the shoulder, no problem. If it's her body or head, etc., then it should be me. So maybe she was talking about stunt double. Okay. I was wondering about not having that shot, but kept it to myself with a smiley face. Yeah, we ran out of time. I want to line it up with the shoulder, and if it doesn't work, then when you're dressed, we'll figure it out. By the way, if you're ever wondering if we have a shot or need one, I don't ever feel it's overstepping if you bring it up to me. FYI, Brandon just landed. We're talking character, no one waiting. Blake Lively, mortified. They dropped me off at the flower shop. I was in the wrong spot. Also misleading, the article draws on Lively's assertion that Baldoni improvised unwanted kissing and discussed his sex life. However, both the Times and Lively intentionally excluded that Lively refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator to plan out the film's sex scenes. Baldoni, in turn, was forced to meet with the intimacy coordinator alone and rely on any suggestions to Lively separately. Notwithstanding Baldoni's reluctance, he and Lively would later sketch out the scenes together, absent the intimacy coordinator. As part of those creative discussions, Baldoni and Lively sought to personalize and develop their character, and in doing so, engaged in conversation about their individual experiences. The Times, taking Lively's CRD complaint as true, characterizes this discussion as an inappropriate attempt by Baldoni to talk about his sex life. It was not. More still, Baldoni consistently acted at the direction of the intimacy coordinator. This baseless accusation do not constitute sexual harassment. Justin Baldoni, just hired intimacy coordinator who I love. This is Blake. No, this is Justin. Just hired intimacy coordinator who I love. We'll set you up to meet FT with her next week for intro. Blake Lively, I feel good. I can meet her when we start. Thank you, though. Baldoni, just FYI, just wanted to tell you about this. Seems she doesn't want to meet the intimacy coordinator until we start, which may mess up the workflow, but I can still meet with her, of course. Female producer, that's fine. If she doesn't want to meet her now, you'll just have to walk her through what you and intimacy coordinator are thinking. Thumbs up. Despite its efforts to craft a distorted narrative, the Times failed to realize a glaring contradiction in Lively's CRD complaint. After the execution of the Protection for Return to Production Agreement in November 2023, Lively herself acknowledges that the film was completed, marketed, and released safely and successfully. While Wayfair, Baldoni, and Heath disagreed with Lively's rationale for requesting the document. Many of its provisions were already standard practice. They chose to comply for the sake of the film and to ensure Lively's comfort. Crucially, Lively concedes that neither Baldoni nor Heath engaged in any harassing behavior following the agreement in November 2023. Furthermore, she admits that her stated concerns were sufficiently addressed at the time. This admission directly undermines her allegation of retaliation and strips her claim of credibility. Without the fabricated smear campaign, narratives propping her CRD complaint, Lively's retaliation claim collapses under its own contradictions. Whew. The fact that Lively embarked on this hostile takeover of the production, strong arming Sony into blessing her with ultimate control. As they became increasingly frantic and unsettled by the usurpation of their roles, Baldoni remained resolute that they can continue to take the high road and be proud of the beautiful baby they all had made together. Notwithstanding, Lively waged war on Baldoni, weaponizing innocuous interactions from May and June of 2023, long before there was any tension between them, to vilify and discredit him. At the time, Baldoni and Lively had a solid working relationship, and Lively expressed no unease around him. Only after the writers' strike had ended and filming was set to resume did Lively express any concern about returning to the set. In response, Wayfarer and Baldoni agreed to all the demands. So basically, what I'm reading here is this: all of this stuff in this CRD, all of this stuff was done so that she can take control of the production. Because when I read the article, it made it seem like from day one. Because remember, they were doing shots and things like that in May. The not the Screen Actors Guild. What's the name of that? The Writers Guild went on strike. I think it was like May 2nd, between May 2nd or 4th. They had filmed, I think, halfway through May. So, in other words, the most that they got was probably a month before everything was shut down. Because once the Screen Actors Guild, once the was on strike, there was really nothing moving on in Hollywood except for things where the scripts were supposed to have been finished. But somewhere in there, they stopped. Let me look up. Hold on, y'all. Because I think the Screen Actors Guild, I think that they were striking. Anyway, there's no need to look it up. In other words, they weren't filming long enough, in my opinion, from reading this, that they would have had all this kind of tension between them. That doesn't make any sense. Well, let's continue. Let me see. Make sure that you all are here. Y'all hit that like button for me. So many TikToks. Were there a lot of TikToks on this information? The plantation wedding, making her own cut of the film, making her own poster. Oh my goodness. Okay, I've read that. All it did was make us remember she dated Leonardo DiCaprio, may have cheated with Ryan when he was married to Scarlett Johansson, that her X-rated pics were leaked, and maybe affair with Ben Affleck. Ryan Reynolds was married to Scarlett Johansson. Okay, I'm sorry. Gossip Pam is coming. Let me pull out. Hey, Gray, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. All right, let me finish. So here we go with some more text messages. It says, to Dream Team. This is from Justin Baldoni. Just curious if you guys have peeked at her cut and if anything has changed. Editor 2. I have just been told that we are not permitted to look. Justin, haha, wow. When did that happen? Editor 1. As per Sony, this evening through, and it was redacted. Justin Baldoni. Wow. Okay, then. The editors and director isn't allowed to look at an actress's cut. Got it. Well, here we go. We will keep taking the high road. So basically, she was, from what I'm reading, and y'all let me know if I'm reading this correctly. She was basically trying to take over the script, write her own stuff, and was using this threat of sexual harassment to keep everybody docile and not make any kind of strange moves. Y'all let me know if I'm interpreting this so far. 25. To suggest, as the time does, that plaintiff engaged in dark arts to destroy Lively's reputation is to ignore that Lively had long-standing reputational challenges, and that plaintiff's public relations effort was rudimentary, above board, and entirely defensive. The Times willingly omits any meaningful discussion of the true source of the tension between Lively and the plaintiffs, which was Lively's brazen and calculated efforts to expropriate the film. They said it right there, right here. That was the true effort and the true meaning. And if you're going to do that, you got to have a reason. So, coming back from the Screen Actors Guild, according to what I'm reading, they came back with a person. So she probably sat down with her husband, and her husband looked at the thing and said, "Nah, this is just Pam Entertainment TV. I don't know if any of this stuff happened. I'm just making uh, an educated guess." And this is an opinion, that they sat down and they looked at this film and thought, the writer was working with Baldoni. They looked at this film, thought it would be a great film to catapult her, but they needed to make sure that they had control over this film. So why not use what you can use? And all these little different things, just on each one of those face values, could add up to sexual harassment. But now that I'm so glad that we're seeing all of the information as we see it. Let's continue. New name available from Nathan, Melissa Nathan. Like, come on. This is the tag team. Like, come on. We had nothing to do with that. This is crazy. She doesn't have a good reputation. All of this is organic stuff from real people. Because I'm even looking in the chat, and you all are talking about stuff that has happened way back then that I didn't know anything about. Because again, all I knew is that she wears nice clothes. When I review the Met Gala, I see her on there and she's wearing nice clothes, her and Ryan. So you all are going back and remembering all of this stuff, because I just read about right here. You all were looking at the fact that you all were remembering this stuff just from me reading the information that I'm reading. This is crazy. She doesn't have a good reputation. All of this organic stuff from real people making TikToks, not bots. Exactly. If it was just comments, I'd be like, oops, but it's not. Blake Lively is slammed over how she styled younger actress. All right, to Dream Team. This is the editor one. Hey, just checking in. Hope you're hanging in there. We're going to get through this, damn it. Justin, thanks for checking in. I've sat with it, and I think the best path forward spiritually and what's best for the movie is that I suck it up and let her in. I've sent a message requesting that it start on the 18th, and then we would just let her in until she leaves, and then her cuts and updates throughout the process. I'll let you guys know what she says. Thank you for being awesome, Dream Team. Editor 2, we got you. I think that sounds like a very good plan on all fronts. Justin, we made a beautiful baby together. The baby might not grow up to be exactly who we thought, but it's still beautiful. That's what I'm holding on to. Very proud of us. Wow. I can't say I'm shocked, because I was hoping that you were going to be able to not let this beat you down. And it sounds like you have achieved that. And yes, the movie we handed her was so good that even if it's been screwed with, the base work will still shine through. The last I heard was that she was putting back a fair amount of our version, just not sure what that entailed or to what extent. I guess you'll find out today. Hang in there, and we'll all catch up when the wounds are not quite as fresh. Sending you love to both. So you've got the editors, you've got Baldoni, you've got all these people understanding and knowing that she has taken over the project, and she is the one over all the cuts. They don't even have access to scripts and things like that because she has muscled her way in with Sony and is able to push her way in, and along with Sony, she is making all of the decisions. The Times assertion that plaintiff orchestrated a campaign to tarnish Lively's reputation blatantly disregards her bizarre behavior at the time and misrepresents plaintiff's actions, which were modest, transparent, and purely defensive. The article entirely sidesteps the real source of conflict between Lively and plaintiffs: Lively's calculated, audacious attempt to seize control over the film. So here are some more text messages. It says, "Hi, Jamie." This is from Jen Abel. "Jamie just filled me in about BookCon. I know this is devastated and such a kick in the gut. It's petty and childish at this point. I'm making sure you're okay. We will get through this. Eye on the prize. Her attending BookCon is a win for the film ultimately. And if she wants to drag her ass to Texas, then let her. You can come home with your you can be home with your family, which is important." And then Justin says, "She kicked me out officially from the film now. She's finishing it all. I can't be involved. Music, sound, FXX, everything. I'll make it through somehow. Just need to feel it all." So she done kicked this man out. Lord have mercy. "How can we get a call on the books to discuss overall strategy and also the sensitivity of what we're going into with the release? I love Steph there as well, and Jamie and Tara. Gene: Absolutely. Steph is still recovering from surgery and likely not available for this until another week. I can check with her schedule and come back to you with dates. We talked about the sensitivity and importance of what we can say about the No More partnership on the last touch base we had with Jamie and Ashmi, as we need to hone in on that messaging and start planting those seeds as we get closer. Also, any words on if it has been proposed yet to Sony about pushing release to July? No, this is sensitivity about Blake. Give copy. Give Jamie a call right now so he can update you on what's happening. Oh boy, okay, calling him now. Just spoke to him. What a horrible person, but nothing we can't handle. What's important is that you do what you need to do and have the space to make a great movie. I'll touch base with Steph and get a sense of her recovery and when she'll be up for a call." Notably absent from the Times narrative is Lively's insistence on obtaining editing privileges and demanding her own version of the film, a departure from industry standards. A departure from industry standards. Even more egregiously, Lively leveraged her promotional commitments to pressure for the release of her cut. Evidence Albandoni's effort to accommodate Lively's demand included a series of text exchange with editors who were later replaced by Lively in favor of her husband's editor. I knew he was coming through there. I knew he was coming through there. Because and this is a side note, but see, I've had an issue with Ryan going back, but lately I had an issue with him because I don't know if you remember the Wolverine and Deadpool movie where they had Wesley Snipes' version of Blade, and then he comes out in on online talking about how there's only one Blade and that's Wesley Snipe, knowing doggone well that Mahershala Ali has been basically on ice trying to make this movie. It's been in developmental hell, but then he comes out with this, and I remember uh, uh Twitter, X, YouTube was abound with people talking about, "Oh yeah, because Mahershala is 10 years younger than Wesley. We don't need Mahershala. Let's go ahead and just get Blade. Let's get Wesley Snipes to do the Blade series." And it's just a whole bunch of stuff. Now, mind you, And the reason why I knew he had to be around it, because when he was in the Blade movie back in the day with Wesley Snipes, he talked so much crap about that man. How he was bad on set, and he was mean, and all of these other stuff, all these other things. So these two people sounds like Blake Lively and her husband, two peas in a pod. But they doing some stuff like this. I knew somewhere in the background he was around. Sorry. um Lively demands included a series of text exchanges with editors who were later replaced by Lively in favor of her husband's editor, underscores the extreme lengths Baldoni went to in order to preserve the film's integrity. The Times' willful omission of these critical details not only distorts the truth, but also perpetuates a false narrative that conveniently absolves Lively of her own culpability in the unraveling of professional relationships and the upheaval surrounding the film. Let me get a sip because good goodness. Let's see. Two Dream Team, and I'm assuming that this is Justin Baldoni in the blue. Blake wants to know when you could be there next week. Editor 2. I guess I can fly in Sunday or Monday, up to you guys. I would prefer you be there or edit from home. Editor 2. I honestly don't have a preference. Editor 1. So it begins. Justin Baldoni. We could push for you to stay home. It's up to you. Editor 2. Both have pros and cons. I want Blake to feel like she's getting what she wants so we can move on from this need of hers. For the record, this is Justin. She's been getting what she wants this entire movie. Editor 2. I understand. And she's getting to edit, which is what she wants. Let's remember that. Editor 2. Yes. And yet, true. Editor 2. I don't want to give her any opportunity to say, well, because so and so was in LA, we could only work certain hours, so I need more time, and I didn't really get what I needed or what it may be. Justin Baldoni. Point is, if you feel it's best and you want to go there, no problem. No problem at all. And also, if you would like to stay home, that's something that we can say. I just want you to do what's best for you. Justin Belden. They are showing it at Book Bonanza. Editor 2. The whole movie? Yep. Her version. Hers. I guess her version. Editor 1. Wow. Was supposed to be hours, and then I was uninvited. Whole thing is pretty cruel and intense. Editor 1. Unfucking believable. Editor 2. Ugh, sorry, Justin. Justin, I love you both. And they give him little heart emojis. Editor 2 gave some heart emojis. Editor 1. I just hope you love or at least stomach the cut that is going to be out into the world. Haven't seen it. Can't yet. So they done iced this man out of his whole movie. His whole production. Also missing from the article is Lively's demand for an unearned producer credit and coveted PGA mark, a demand that Wayfarer and Baldoni were forced to concede under duress. As documented internally. So let's see what they documented internally. Private and confidential PGA letter. And this is Jamie Heath. Hi, everyone. I'm writing to you all regarding a letter that I wrote on behalf of Justin and myself addressed to the Producers Guild. As you know, we received a request to write a recommendation on behalf of Blake for her to receive the PGA mark. This was a request that we feel was unreasonable and cold-hearted. Essentially, the movie IEWU has been taken unjustly from Justin as a director and essentially from Wayfarer control due to extortion of Blake. Without going into all the details of the events that have transpired over the months, Justin and I ended up agreeing to write the letter due to feeling trapped. She continues to hold a threat over our heads, and every time we try to hold a line, she uses that threat either directly or indirectly to get us to fold. Make no mistake, I am not suggesting that we were literally forced to acquiesce, but given the high profile of the movie, the partnership with Sony, the amount of money invested, and the need to complete the movie, we have written the letter on her behalf, omitting the truth of how and why she was able to contribute in the way we listed. There is nothing to do with this letter to now. It only serves as a way to memorialize why the letter was sent in the first place, should we ever need to explain it. Thank you. And so here is the letter. Dear member of the Producers Guild of America, we hope this letter finds you well. We are writing to inform you of the significant role and contributions that Blake Lively has played in the making of the film, It Ends With Us, based on the best-selling novel by Colleen Hoover. This film has meant a great deal both personally and to our company, Wayfarer Studios, as we have optioned the property nearly 5 years ago. As such, we've been directly involved in overseeing every step of the development, from adapting the book to the big screen to bringing on our co-financer distributor Sony, and of course casting our lead. I know they rue today when they did that. I know they rue today. From the time Blake was brought on, she's had an instrumental voice in many different aspects in the making of a film. Her contributions have been impactful, and she was consulted with many of the cast options. She helped to refine the script. She redesigned her own wardrobe as well as gave notes on others. She contributed to the production design and set decoration and has influence on how many of the scenes were shot because she took the damn thing over. I Blake has been very involved in the post process as well, because she wouldn't let you. She had an active role in the edit because she edited her own version of the film, the sound mix, and has made decisions on the music selection and score. She also continues to find creative ways to promote the film so that it can achieve its greatest success. Since contractually she began the movie with an EP credit, our earliest submission to the PJ did not include her as a named producer. But we both feel her contribution has warranted the revised credit consideration for the PGA mark. On behalf of the Wayfarer Studios, Justin Baldoni and Jamie. So they wrote it and they signed it. This is crazy. And I'm just curious what was being said to whoever up at Sony. What was being said to them, cuz this seems odd. Was the movie even good enough for them to be fighting over it like this? Neither one of them are going to be able to continue if this gets any messier. Well, the movie is finished. The movie was out in the studio. It was out in August. So I guess we all need to take a look at the movie and see what it was, because all of this is crazy. But this, her husband being involved in it, this just screams that he wanted something. He wanted a pet project for her to do. And like I said, I don't know. I know of his shenanigans. I didn't really realize that she was up with the shenanigans as well. But this, when every time I read anything that goes on with all of this, this gives me Ryan Reynolds all the time, because he has a lot of shenanigans going on. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so glad that you're here. We're going over uh Justin Baldoni's complaint lawsuit against a libel lawsuit against the New York Times. Let's see. Where was I? From the beginning. Moreover, the article fails to address the fact that Baldoni was systematically sidelined from the marketing of his own film. From the very beginning, Baldoni has insisted on marketing the film with a focus on domestic violence and its survivors. Now, I'm just going to put a side note. When I was looking this up, he did a TED talk about um, uh, toxic masculinity. And also, from what I understand, that there was supposed to be a percentage of the film going towards domestic violence and its survivors. And someone had mentioned that he was a very staunch supporter of like the Me Too movement and the harassment of actresses in Hollywood. So that's what I understand about going on with him. And this is why from what my understanding, this was going to reach a level of like the Amber Heard and what's his name, Johnny Depp level, because he was supposed to have been such a advocate for harassment and DV, and then he gets hit with a harassment and DV harassment allegation, a sexual harassment allegation. Yet Lively drastically limited his input and deliberately steered the promotional campaign away from its societal message. Because again, that's what they were talking about organically, that she was trying to push her hair product line and dresses and all kinds of other stuff. I really wish I had been present of mind to see all of that. I've only saw, like I said, I only saw one interview with her. And like I said, it seemed cringy in the beginning, but I honestly thought it was a skit, but it wasn't. The interviewer, the reporter said it wasn't a skit. This was actually the way that interview went. Further undermining Baldoni's role, Lively initially refused to permit his attendance at the film's premiere. Only after significant pressure did she reluctantly agree to allow Baldoni and the Wayfarer team to attend, but under humiliating conditions. The Wayfarer team and their families, including Baldoni and Heath, were segregated from the main cast, barred from the exclusive after party, and forced to organize their own event at additional cost. Baldoni's participation on the red carpet was cut short, and his family and friends were confined to a makeshift holding area in the basement before being escorted into a separate theater after Lively's departure. Not only had Lively stolen the film, but she also robbed Baldoni and his team of any genuine opportunity to celebrate their hard work. Now, is it me, but I'm confused because at this point, Baldoni and Heath, y'all are acquiescing too much. I'm confused as to why there's such a big y'all are acquiescing to a lot of stuff. So I'm confused about that. Now, like I said, I'm very much aware about Ryan Reynolds and his shenanigans that he has gone through, but this is a lot of acquiescing for something as simple as going to a premiere. I am genuinely confused. If this was something that your PR team and your executive team talked about, that's one thing and that's fine. And I'd love to see it in here. But this is a lot of acquiescing. It's almost like she had something over you to make you all acquiesce like this. I'm not understanding this, but let's continue. Jen Abel. But nothing we can get through together. And see, everybody is like that. No, don't worry about it. Just let her do this. Okay. Is it me? Or now this has nothing to do with it. It just makes me think because I'm trying to figure out why in the world would they acquiesce to something like that? Do you think that it had something to do? Uh-oh, hold on. Let's see. This is about the second movie that Baldoni owns the rights to. The film was a big hit. Great. I never heard of the movie. Must have been a flop. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hello. The movie made $350 million on a $25 million, but they want a sequel. Oh, well, I need to see what this movie is because with all of this, I wonder whose version of the script won out. This is a fight for the franchise. Exactly. Exactly. Because of Sony and Ryan Reynolds' relationship with him, he makes them a lot of money. I figured it. I, I knew he was behind a lot of these shenanigans. I just felt like he was behind a lot of these shenanigans. Who is Bahi? Is that Bahias? Who is Bahias? They believe in the equality of women and men at a spiritual level. That's cool. Who believes that? Jaden, let me know. Jaden Amber, let me know who believes that. I think it's called. Yeah, got you. Got you. So okay, that's making sense. But the reason why I stopped and I hesitated is because the one thing that stood out to me up at the top that I don't think that anybody saw because they keep acquiescing and keep acquiescing. Do you believe that is there some on some level now I understand about Ryan Reynolds. I understand that it seems like she was doing trying to take over. I understand that they had a meeting about all the things that she needed to have done so that she could feel safe in that. And then some of the things that she requested she didn't even attend, like the intimacy coach. Do y'all think she was using or claiming postpartum? And they were walking on eggshells with her in regards to that? Because I remember reading up there when they were talking about she was saying that he was coming in her dressing room uninvited and even when she was breastfeeding and we did see the text that say she told him this is what she was doing that he can just pull through. But I'm wondering, was there some incidents of that, or did was there an instance that her and him had some kind of talking to, or had a little verbal exchange? I don't know because this I, I am just saying all of this because of the fact that this acquiescing to all of this stuff, it's weird to me. It's very, very weird to me. And nobody at Wayfair, not a lawyer, not anybody was able to put their foot down and say, okay, no. I mean, I understand Sony is the partner and all of this, but this seems really, really this something don't seem right about it. I know there's something not right because again, we've got the text messages and everything like that kind of contradicts what she's saying, but something just doesn't seem right with all of this acquiescing, and it just could be me because nothing is ever like black and white. It's always these shades of gray. Somebody has always done something to somebody at some point. It may not have been, and sometimes people exacerbate problems or make things bigger than what they are. But it's just something there, and I just can't pinpoint my finger about what that is. All right, Jen Abel. But nothing we can't get through together. This film would be successful. She is already promoted heavily. So if she backs away now, it looks worse on her. And you just focus on the bigger picture of how this film is going to change the game for you and the studio. So if it made $350 million off a $25 million budget, yeah, it's changed the game because he's made more than 3 times the amount of money. That was a hit. Just find ways to keep me busy when she gets everyone together. Obviously, if the whole cast is making content together, that's her trying to clue people onto there being an issue. Everything she does is calculated, yet so manic. Jen, I hear you. And we are already ahead of this with Sony, who has our back here. I feel good about that. I feel good about that. And they understand the larger issue if fans start poking holes. That doesn't benefit Sony either. Justin. She doesn't want to be the bad guy, so she'll find a way to. Say it without saying it. And that's why we just stay ahead of it, Justin. Attempting to rewrite history and like I'm not the one who developed this and spent 5 years trying to make it. And like there is an issue with me, it's just mean and hurtful. And she knows exactly what she's doing. Mm, mm, mm. All right, to the dream team. This is from Justin. Infection in my spine. Pretty serious. Great doctors and caught it early. So and so had a feeling. My body is done. Too much stress. We'll be in hospital probably until Tuesday now. Then IV antibiotics via a PIC line for 6 weeks, which means can't travel. RE regarding Garfield, so happy he liked it. Editor one. Damn. Then just take care of yourself. If Blake is so determined to handle the marketing on the movie, then just let her. Perfect time to look out for number one. Darn, he done put in a hospital pick. Justin. If you think about it, we didn't even finish our director's cut because she intervened. So ideally, at some point, we can take a week and all we just do it together for ourselves. But that opens up a can of worms. So we will need to let this play out for a while before we can pull that card. And your door will be knocked on. The amount of women who feel seen, that it's reaching people all over the world, that men are remembering their own traumas and having conversations with their partners. That's why we did this, and it worked. Still the dream team. Editor 2. Incredible. That's the best news. Editor 1, put a little heart on it. Exactly, the most important thing. Editor 1. Too late. So and so and I talked earlier and agreed we just couldn't be in the same room with Blake. The last day to get our tickets was August the 2nd. Editor 2. We'll be loving all the red carpet looks from you, Justin. Because they don't give me a timestamp, so I don't know when the timestamps of these things. I wish they did. Okay, I see over here August 7th. Justin Baldoni. Long story, but we won't be in the same room. I was asked not to even come to premiere. I can figure it out. Editor 2. I'm glad you're going. You did all of the work. Editor 1. That was the main reason we didn't go, because we were under the impression you wouldn't be there. So there was a conversation. If you decide to change your mind last minute, let me know and let's figure it out together. I'm going to be there. And that's just different timing and holding areas and theaters and all the things you can imagine. It's still our film. Editor 2. It would be very hard for me to sit and watch the final film for the first time at the premiere. Just cheer for us when our names come up, sending all love. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it either. Crazy times. But it looks like they took a picture because this was a thumbnail picture that I had. So they took a picture together. Mm, mm, mm. All right, let's see what's going on. So this is Saturday, August 10th at 1:05 p.m. Justin, somebody named Amaryllis. As a DV survivor in my teens and now at 40, this movie gave me strength to leave. Despite warnings, he continued with a raging tone. I'm heartbroken, but I've endured 6.5 years of this. Had been in DV at 16 when I had to pull a restraining order against him and my son, who is now 23. I ended up in the same relationship with a different man at the age of 34, and now I'm 40 and almost 41, and this movie helped me. Y'all got to get healed before y'all move into this next relationship, because you're still the same type of person and you will still attract the same type of people. Once you understand who you are and what your non-negotiables are and what you will take, those types of people will try to come in your life, but they will immediately go, because you will see the signs early. And so this, I guess this is Justin. This is why we do this. And then he has another thing, 36 likes and comments about this person. And it says, this is why I made the film. Can we reshare somehow to amplify stories made, amplify the stories? Right. When Wayfair and Baldoni hired Lively to appear in the film, they did not anticipate that she would execute a hostile takeover of the entire project. Lively's cynical abuse of sexual harassment allegation to assert unilateral control over every aspect of the production was both strategic and manipulative. And you remember I said earlier about that. Simultaneously, her public image suffered as a result of a series of high profile blunders. Hold on. Sounds like my little mic is about to go out. Hold on, y'all. All right. That poor mic has been working today. Simultane- uh, Simultaneously, her public image suffered as a result of a series of high profile blunders, which she tried to deflect by blaming plaintiffs for the public's prying interest into the foibles. Ooh, they used the word foibles of an A list celebrity. This is nothing but an excuse. Fame is a double edged sword, but Lively's tactics are unconscionable. Alongside the Times, she orchestrated a malicious attack on the reputation, careers, and personal lives of plaintiffs, subjecting them to public humiliation, threats, and vitriol. This lawsuit seeks to hold the Times accountable for its role in this defamation campaign. But plaintiffs are not done. There are other bad actors involved, and make no mistake, this will not be the last lawsuit. Sounds like Ryan Reynolds about to count his days. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Message for Melissa Nathan. Dear Tag PR, this is a message for Melissa Nathan who says we can bury anyone. Melissa, I have more knowledge than you do about Hollywood, knowing the dirty secrets of many directors, influential people up to the White House, because I am clothed in black. Some of the directors may know what that means. Before you go attacking good people like Blake Lively, be sure of this. There are no secrets those of us clothed in the darkest black of night do not know. And one day we will share those secrets in a forced public press meeting to the whole world in a foreign country with the help of technology you have no understanding of. Excuse me? In that day, the corrupt in Hollywood will release all of their codes, cues, keys, and triggers in their films will fall back on their own heads, and all their vile acts against children will throw them into darkness. Do not play with Blake Lively. Time is ours, as in the night. We are above every government on earth and even NASA, Bahamas, or NASA, the space. I do not, let me finish this. So next time you want to crush somebody like Blake Lively, think again. We work in ways you'll never perceive. Okay. I don't advocate these things. But if you're going to send threats, if you're going to do this, please make sure what is this? We are above every government on earth and even NASA. I guess spell check didn't work because NASA, I think, is spelled like that for the Bahamas. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. I'm not sure. Here is another death threat. There are guillotines in hell for all of you disgusting liars. First of all, let me just put this out here. Show me the deed. Show me your deeds. I am so sick of people always talking about they've got a heaven and they've got a hell to put people in. Show me the deeds. You don't have the power nor the authority to put anyone nowhere. So unless you can produce a deed to heaven, unless you can produce a deed to hell, hush. Anyway, there are guillotines in hell for all of you discussing liars, intentionally spreading deceitful misinformation about the innocent people. Are you all brain dead? Or are you all Zionists, Israeli Jews doing your job naturally as terrorists in every aspect? Whether it be in the entertainment industry or politics, you all know you have done unethical ethical work for evil people. Mm, mm, mm. Parties and jurisdictions, it just tells you all the reasons why they are the parties, why all of this stuff, and I won't read any of all of this. Talks about the jurisdiction and venue, saying the jurisdiction is proper in the Superior Court of the State of California for the County of Los Angeles, pursuant to California Code of Civil Procedure, since at least some of the obligations, liabilities, and breaches complained of herein arose or occurred in the County of Los Angeles. Moreover, each defendant either owns, maintains offices, transacts business, has an agent or agents within the County of Los Angeles. All right. Let me see where y'all at. Is she another Amber Heard? I don't know, but they're saying that this is a this this back and forth is onto the levels of that. The PR world is about to be, baby, Gray. They are really about to be aired out. They are really about to we're about to see all the ways that they work their PR thing, how they know everything about everybody, how they put stuff out. Because I even saw up in here, and I wanted to mention it before, they were talking about the bots and stuff like that. So that makes me believe that some of these goodwill tweets and social media comments and these bad will social media comments, they're all part of the same machine. I mean, there ought to be laws against all of this, but I'm not in Hollywood. But this is just interesting to me. Why don't they tell now? I think they mean NASA too, but spell check wasn't gonna correct them, because I think that's how you spell NASA, from like Nassau, the Bahamas. I think that's how they spell it. Sounds like a lunar larva. Uh, Hush, Pam. I was about to say, shoot, Blake probably wrote it herself. I mean, you just don't ever know. Anyway, facts common to all cause of action. Y'all, we are almost through. Lively uses unsubstantiated claims to bully Wayfair and Baldoni in an effort to take over the film. So let's read this a little bit, because this is interesting. And again, there's going to be some things I'm just going to read the bolded bullet points, but this is interesting to me right here. In or about early 2019, Baldoni, through his literary agent, contacted the author of the book in which the film is based. He expressed a deep interest in adapting the book into a feature-length motion picture that aligned with his history of impactful storytelling. Baldoni envisioned a film that would shed light on the struggles of domestic violence survivors, amplify their voices, and inspire societal change. Driven by his unwavering commitment, often at significant personal sacrifice, Baldoni ensured the film stayed true to this vision, ultimately achieving its purpose. On or about May 8th, 2019, Wayfarer secured an option for the book's rights with the intent of creating a film that would bring critical attention to the widespread issues of intimate partner violence. Over the next 5 years of development, Baldoni and Wayfarer maintained a strong and collaborative relationship with the book's author. With the rights to the book secured and a plan to finance the project, Wayfarer committed to producing the film. Baldoni, whose passion and creative vision were central to the project, would direct and star in it. Wayfarer partnered with Sony to co-finance and distribute the film. That agreement included, at Wayfarer's and Baldoni's assistance, a requirement that 1% of the film's proceeds be donated to survivors of domestic violence. That 1% was ultimately earmarked for the organization No More, which Baldoni had wanted to partner as early as September 2022. On or about December 31st, 2022, Lively agreed to take the lead role of Lily Bloom as part of the subsequent negotiation. Lively was granted an executive producer credit, a title often associated with talent of her stature. Wayfair did not request that Lively contribute to the film in any capacity beyond her performance and this credit. Lively takes over wardrobe. On or about May 15, 2023, principal photography of the film commenced in New Jersey. During pre-production, Lively began to assert control over aspects of the film beyond her role as an actor and outside the scope of her contractual entitlements. While lead actors are sometimes granted approval over the general look of their own on screen character, this authority typically does not include full control over wardrobe decisions without input from the director and producers. It says here, Lively went so far as to purchase items for her wardrobe, albeit at her own expense, without the approval of the director or producer. Nevertheless, Lively overstepped these boundaries, sidelining the production's costume designer, a seasoned professional with long-standing working relationships with Lively. Ignoring the director's vision for her character and disregarding the weeks spent by the entire team shopping and thoughtfully crafting her wardrobe in preparation for the film, Lively would send hundreds of images to the film's costume designer during all hours of the evening, pointing them in the direction of the appearance she wanted for her character. The costume designer then had to reshop her wardrobe, far exceeding the allocated budget and diverting time and resources. At one point, Lively insisted that her character had money and could afford $5,000 shoes, which had Baldoni rethinking the entire script that had been worked on for well over a year and had been approved by both studios. Lively also several times refused to participate in wardrobe fittings at the production office, a mere 15 minutes away from Lively's Tribeca residence. Instead, she insisted the costume department pack up the wardrobe department and deliver all her wardrobe items to her. Loading the wardrobe department on trucks and delivering to Lively's residence for fittings added both time to the production schedule and expense to the film. So let me ask you all something. If is there anybody in here that has worked on films or anything? You know how when you're building a house and you have like a project manager and they're supposed to be making sure that all the costs are, come within this budget and all of this other stuff. And when they talk about this budget, there's really not that big of a wiggle room. And in order for anything to be changed on the budget, they have to talk with the owners. Do they have that in the film world? Because I was thinking of a showrunner, but I don't know if that's the job of a showrunner. I know on television they have a showrunner, and I don't know if that's the job. What do they have on movies? Because this seems like they did not have anybody who was like a production manager or whatever the title is, because this would be an expense. And it seems like to me, and I can't even believe I'm saying this. It seems like to me when different things like this are done that they should be charged back to the actor or come out of the actor's sum or monies or whatever they're supposed to get if they're causing for the production to be expensive like this. I don't know if you all, I hope y'all understand what I'm saying, because these things seem real. This seems beyond being a diva. I can see, being a diva to me is like, I don't look good in green. Can green washes me out. Can we use another color besides green because green washes me out? You understand what I'm saying? That's that kind of stuff I'm talking about. I don't. I, okay, let me just go. These demands were never mentioned at the contract negotiation phase and therefore were not included in the budget. Lively herself, having a further obligation to the studios as an executive producer, paid no mind to the budget and the months of planning that had already occurred. Even if Lively had the contractual authority to approve her character's wardrobe, which she did not, and again, who is that person? Is there a person? Who is that person? that would say you don't have the authority to do that. Sit down. Who is that person? A grant of such authority would not and could not imply the right to blow up the film's budget with additional unanticipated costs. In an effort to maintain harmony at the start of their working relationship and to avoid further details caused by wardrobe conflicts, Baldoni and the studio reluctantly allowed Lively full control of the wardrobe. And there they go again. There's this acquiescing that I do not understand. This concession quickly proved regrettable. Once you start, what's what they say? You give somebody an inch, they want a mile. On the first day of principal photography, paparazzi captured and published photos of Lively in character wearing her self-selected wardrobe. These images were described as unflattering and sparked a backlash from the film's distributor, Sony. Baldoni received direct criticism from Sony, who voiced concerns about the impact of the photos on the film's public reception. And he should have. He should have. Because again, I want to know who this person is. Yes, a diva. Costume management. Yeah, overtop. Film producer. If somebody is supposed to be. I looked up. It's a wardrobe supervisor. Thank you, Star Child. It's somebody that wardrobe supervisor. Straight trash. Straight trash. I think they didn't care, but since she sued them, they're going to be bringing everything she did. They were never going to sue her. Sounds like she wanted the character to be her. Doesn't it though? I- all of this sounds just weird. She flexed her privilege. She also extorted and blackmailed to get her way. Then she had her Ryan come and flex too. Oh my lord. Colonizer and this is the antebellum South. Blake wrote essay on. Take. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, I I I would say this, Justin Baldoni, you and your production company going forward, if you're going to do something like this again, you need to hire people who have a little stronger backbone than this. And if you're going to be talking with people, then and even if you get these people who quote unquote are A-listers, y'all need to be very specific in their contract about what they can and what they can't do. I don't because this is crazy. You all acquiesce to this person and she has literally took over your stuff. But it's like point after point after point after point. Whew. On the first day of principal photography, paparazzi. Okay, we talked about that. Following these events, Baldoni approached Lively in her trailer to discuss necessary wardrobe adjustments. The conversation, while professional, took considerable time and was later grossly misrepresented in Lively's CRD complaint, falsely characterizing the exchange as a lengthy outburst that delayed the film and caused the crew to wait for hours while Baldoni cried in Lively's dressing room. This account, later published by The Times, is false. Although Baldoni did briefly tear up during the conversation, it was in response to what he believed was a genuine compliment from Lively, praising his work as a director and actor. In hindsight, Baldoni recognized this is a manipulation tactic, likely extended to persuade him to continue allowing her unchecked control over wardrobe decisions. So this is what I will say to you, Mr. Baldoni. Be the director, be the producer, but you need a middle person that's going to be between you and the talent because you are an actor. You know, and I am not trying to change you as who you are, but when we're talking about you handling the business, you acquiesce too much for me. There's business that has to be handled, and she played you like a fiddle. If I'm looking at this correctly, she played you like a fiddle. Lively later leveraged this conversation in support of her allegations of harassment, alleging that Baldoni made inappropriate comments on her appearance. In reality, Baldoni was relaying the distributor's concerns and the widespread social media criticism regarding the wardrobe's failure to meet audience expectation, a sentiment Baldoni shared. This incident marked the beginning of a troubling pattern of manipulative behavior by Lively. She's rewriting the scripts. During a red carpet interview at the New York City celebrity premiere of the film, Lively stated, "The iconic rooftop scene, my husband actually wrote it." Oh, just like the marionette, the puppet man. He's just back there doing all of the little puppet works. Nobody knows that, but you now. This revelation came as a surprise to the film's credited screenwriter, who, when later interviewed, graciously responded, "So if I'm being told that Ryan wrote that, then great. How wonderful." The screenwriter further acknowledged, "There were a few little flourishes that I did not write. And if those flourishes came from Ryan, I think that's wonderful." This is also the first time plaintiffs learned that Reynolds, who had no formal role in the film's production, made unauthorized changes to the script in secret. She can't even keep her mouth closed. I don't advocate you doing that, but if someone tries to help you out and you know that they're not supposed to be there, you're supposed to be quiet about it. Say thank you. I appreciate you, love you to death, but be quiet. But you have this incessant need to be able to brag and to say that I've done all this stuff. So now that you've got all these problems. Furthermore, Lively herself began altering the script daily. The frequency of Lively's revisions alarmed the producer, director, and studio, who anticipated that her interference would persist every day of the shoot and disrupt the production schedule. Each shooting day was already intricately planned, and her constant changes introduced significant stress on the production crew and financial strain. However, just weeks prior, Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, had aggressively berated Baldoni during a meeting at their penthouse in New York, accusing him of fat shaming Lively. Again, Baldoni, I would suggest to you further out. You don't go to their houses. They control the narrative within their homes. If you needed to have a meeting, she needed to come to the offices, because you already know she was doing a whole lot back then. Why would you go to the home and then be berated by her husband about fat shaming? If that's something that's difficult, then you need a middle person that's going to be able to handle that for you. Again, I'm not trying to change who you are. I am just trying to say, if this is how you are, you do need somebody to be there to be the stronger hand. And that's just the way it is, because they just walked. I mean, not only did they walk over you, they kind of stomped and kicked you a little bit just to see if you would do like that. Reynolds and Lively's inappropriate and humiliating berating of Baldoni, delivered perhaps intentionally, as other celebrity friends were coming in and out of their penthouse, was prompted by Baldoni's reasonable inquiry into crucial information needed to ensure safety and avoid injury in a scene. Baldoni, while training for a physically demanding scene in which his character would lift Lily, asked his trainer, who was introduced to him by Lively and oversaw his training for the film, how much Lively weighed. Baldoni, who suffers from back issues and has multiple bulging discs, made the inquiry to ensure he could safely perform the lift without injury. Unfortunately, the trainer relayed this information to Lively, which the trainer would, because that was her trainer. Excuse me, y'all. These people are real. These people. See, I this is how I know I wouldn't be able to make it in Hollywood, because once you did that one thing, I would be in LA County Jail over there with Tory Lanez, because I probably would have popped about 6 or 7 people. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not, but I am. I would have popped about 6 or 7, because you're not going to sit up here and be messy like this around me, just to be messy like this. And this is why I always believe, if you're going to ask these types of questions and stuff like that, put it in writing and explain why you're asking those questions. That this would have been this is a perfectly good explanation, but it should have been relayed around that. And again, anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Unfortunately, the trainer relayed this information to Lively, who then informed Reynolds. The confrontation that follows was so aggressive that Baldoni felt compelled to offer repeated apologies, despite his question being entirely reasonable and made in good faith. Following this incident, Lively refused to perform the lift scene, even though it had already been rehearsed with a stunt double. You know, she wasn't. If the intimate, she didn't come to intimacy classes. What makes you think she was going to do it with the stunt double? And or why you didn't do this? Well, sorry, y'all. In fact, Lively threatened to quit the production altogether despite her contractual obligations. Lively gave Baldoni an ultimatum to either cast someone else or work with her in the way she works. I bet you rue today that you just didn't cast somebody else. It was her way or the highway. Recasting would be detrimental to the production, sever Wayfair's relationship with Sony, and cost millions. To highlight the effects of masterful gaslighting, Baldoni and Wayfair also truly believe that in an effort to save herself from the backlash of being recasted, Lively could leak that she felt fat shamed by Baldoni, which he thought would ruin his career. Notably, it appears he was not wrong, and despite his efforts to do everything her way, she still continues to try, and arguably did, with the help of the Times, ruin his career, reputation, and well-being. Because as soon as that article hit the airwaves, WME dropped him. Beyond the script's revision, Lively extended her influence over the film to other areas, frequently challenging decision and asserting control. She not only rewrote her own dialogue, but also made unilateral changes to other characters' lines, effectively altering the script in a broad scale. This pattern of interference continued to disrupt the production process, often causing stress, chaos, and delays. Over the months leading up to the film's release, Lively and her collaborators consistently scrutinized interactions with Baldoni and employed tactics that fall squarely within the definition of gaslighting. This behavior pressured Sony, Baldoni, and Wayfarer into ceding control to Lively at every turn, resulting in her domination of nearly every aspect of the film's production. Lively set the stage for coercion by drafting a protection letter that intentionally misrepresented the nature of the conversation had between Baldoni and her, or Heath and Lively. Demands Wayfarer party sign for Lively to return to work after the industry strike. Okay. Principal photography began on May 15th, 2024, from mid-June to early November 2023. Production was suspended due to the industry guild strikes. When strikes ended on November 9th, production was eagerly to resume filming and make up for lost time. So they started on May 15 and they ended in mid-June. So what is that? That's a month? That same day, however, Wayfarer received an unsettling and unexpected email from Lively through her counsel, containing a 17-point list of non-negotiable conditions that must be met before Lively would return to work. Though Wayfarer disagreed as to the basis for requesting these conditions, which insinuated that those demands were the result of inappropriate behavior by Baldoni and Heath, the terms were agreeable and some were already in place. For example, Lively demanded an intimacy coach coordinator be present at all times when Lively was on set. In fact, an intimacy coordinator had already been engaged during the first half of production, so Wayfarer took no issue with this request. Contrary to Lively's assertion, it was she who refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator to plan out scenes, putting Baldoni in an awkward position of meeting with the intimacy coordinator alone and later relaying sex scene suggestions to Lively in the intimacy coordinator's absence, not only defeating the purpose, but resulting in accusations by the Times that before shooting began, Baldoni wanted to add sex scenes that Lively considered gratuitous. In fact, these scenes were proposed by the intimacy coordinator. This is well documented in written notes Baldoni took during meetings with the intimacy coordinator. Let's see what this is. Just hired intimacy coordinator, who I love, will set you up with the meet FT with her with next week. Blake Lively. I feel good. I can meet with her when we start. Thank you, though. Just FYI, I just wanted to tell you about this. Seems she doesn't want to meet intimacy coordinator until we start, which may mess up the workflow, but I can still meet with her, of course. Female producer. That's fine. If she doesn't want to meet her now, you would just have to walk her through with what you and the intimacy coordinator are thinking. Baldoni's dated handwritten notes from his meeting with the intimacy coordinator, which again Lively declined attending, were read to Lively at her penthouse, where she insisted she and Baldoni meet to write sex scenes together. Again, going further, Baldoni, anything that has to do with your production, you do not go to these people's homes. Ladies, that's the same tip for you. If you all are meeting, I know Hollywood is, everyone's doing this and everybody wants to be comfortable. But if you've had issue after issue after issue, it's almost like he's a masochist. As it was, the sex scenes were not written, and it was always Baldoni's intention for them to be written with input from both the intimacy coordinator and Lively. The quote female gaze that Lively distorts in her CRD complaint, which the Times then publishes in response to a proposal from the intimacy coordinator that I think his name is Riley, not orgasm after he satisfied Lily, Lively remarked. I'd be mortified if that happened to me. To which Baldoni, following Lively's lead, and what seemed like an attempt to connect and develop their characters, remarked, "Those have been some of the most beautiful moments with my wife and I." Lively again distorts this both in the protection for return to production she made Wayfarer, Heath, and Baldoni sign, and in the CRD complaint, which the Time publishes as fact without any investigation whatsoever. First, this suggestion did not originate with Baldoni, and Lively knew this. Second, it was Lively who first personalized the scene. And third, and perhaps more importantly, they were writing scenes for their characters. Lively claims that Baldoni made her feel unsafe when he used the word sexy while discussing a wardrobe adjustment, when in fact Lively herself had previously indicated both verbally and in a text message shown below that she wanted her character's wardrobe to be sexier. For a scene in which all characters wore onesies, Lively opted to wear a large coat over hers, obscuring the outfit. Baldoni, as the film's director, suggested she remove the coat, explaining that the look would be sexier without it. Lively took offense to the comment and appeared upset, interpreting it negatively rather than as a creative direction. Feeling he had upset her, Baldoni apologized despite having made a professional suggestion as a director. Notably, in a separate text exchange, Lively herself used the word sexy to describe one of her character's outfit while advocating for her own wardrobe choice, an inconsistency that undermines the basis of the complaint. So here we are with the text message. See, this is what I was meaning. Just have one text message per page. All right, Blake Lively. Just text Ange this also. We'll show you both ways, but Beanie is much sexier. It's the look. Feels TV without, especially with a crop top in the snow. It justifies the rest of the skin, and also is a girl I would check out walking down the street because it washes the effort of the rest of the look. I think we've read these earlier, but we're just rereading them again. Justin Baldoni. Good morning. Gold morning. If you don't have time to listen with morning craziness, here is text. Just want to be sure okay with throwing the jacket on from yesterday morning or putting it on your whatever. I want to line up a shot. Okay. Yeah, this is the shot. We've read this. I'm not trying to go back because it was written poorly. I'm not trying to strain my brain to read it because it's already mushed right about now. Lively established what language is acceptable to her and what is not at the very outset of the relationship, just 2 days in filming. To use this language herself, then in turn make a note of each instance when her director uses same language, also to describe wardrobe and character, is at best a double standard. To generate a list of demands that insinuate that he and his business partner acted inappropriately and refused to work unless they agreed not to do it again is calculating and even extortionistic. But to then use Wayfarer, Baldoni, and Heath's agreement to not do something they already did not do, were not doing, and had no intention of doing as the basis to file a non public CRD complaint against them and release it to the public herself in order to ruin their reputations is defamation. The Time was directly complicit in this. Lively also established very early that it was acceptable to be present while Lively was breastfeeding. Both Heath and Baldoni have children and are comfortable around breastfeeding mothers, and Lively seemed equally comfortable. In fact, Baldoni's wife co founded a company that makes a breastfeeding garment, a prototype that originated with his mother when he was a baby. And as revealed in a text message exchange between Baldoni and Lively less than 2 weeks into filming, Lively invited Baldoni to her trailer to rehearse lines while she was pumping breast milk. Lively now alleges in the CRD complaint that Baldoni and or Heath would enter her makeup trailer of their own volition while she was breastfeeding. We've read this text and I'm not going to read it again. Um, Notably, breastfeeding was an activity she often conducted openly in the presence of both Baldoni and Heath, including production meetings. In the CRD complaint published in part by the Times, Lively suggests Heath walked into her trailer unannounced while in the state of undress and topless, which is false. Heath was invited into her trailer along with a female producer, Baldoni, and a Sony representative for a meeting requested by Lively. Mr. Heath arrived first to see if Lively was ready for the meeting, and after knocking and being invited in, saw that Lively was breastfeeding. She was not topless. She was having makeup removed from her collarbone while fully covered. Heath asked if they should return at a later time. Lively said no, they could move forward with the meeting as initially planned and would meet them after she finished removing makeup. Roughly 2 weeks later, Lively announced that she thought that she had seen Heath make an eye contact with her. Heath immediately apologized and said he hadn't even realized he looked her way, in response to which Lively remarked, I know you weren't trying to cop a look. A reference to this incident conveniently showed up on a document months later, distorted like the others and out of context in a list that the Times later published as fact. By the time Wayfarer received the protection for return to production document, Wayfarer had invested millions of dollars, completed half the film with Lively as the lead, and incurred substantial costs in preparation to resume production immediately following the strikes. However, instead of returning to work as anticipated, they received Lively's list of demands in the spirit of ensuring Lively felt comfortable on set. Wayfarer promptly agreed to her terms despite disagreeing with the insinuations underlying them. Neither Wayfarer, Heath, nor Baldoni had engaged in any of the behavior alluded to in the return production document, nor did they plan to. They thought it was the end of it, and they were ready to move ahead and make a great film. It was agreed to that filming. It was agreed that filming will resume on January 5th, 2024. On the evening of January 4th, Baldoni, Heath, and producers Todd Black, Alex Sachs, a representative of Sony, and film's first AD were invited to Lively and Reynolds' penthouse in New York. They arrived eager to discuss plans for the next day's filming, prepared with their production materials. Instead, they were blindsided by Lively and Reynolds, who presented a list of grievances that were both unanticipated and troubling. Reynolds launched into a tirade berating Baldoni in what Baldoni later described as a traumatic encounter, stating he had never been spoken to like that in his life. Reynolds demanded an apology to Lively for actions that were mischaracterized and demonstrably false. See below. When Baldoni resisted apologizing for what he had not done, Reynolds became further enraged. Anyone, including the producer Lively, had asked production to engage, and a representative of Sony that was in attendance left the meeting in shock. The producer offered that in his 40-year career, he had never seen anyone speak to somebody like that in a meeting. The Sony representative mentioned that she would often think of that meeting, and her one regret is that she didn't stop Reynolds berating of Baldoni. On the very first page of her CRD complaint, Lively inaccurately claims that a list of 30 items were agreed upon during this meeting. This assertion is categorically false. The 30-point list is strategically positioned to appear as if it was a standalone written document. However, no such document was ever presented to Baldoni, the Wayfarer team, or to their knowledge anyone else, whether during that meeting or any other time, and therefore could not have been agreed to. In reality, many of these items were encountered for the first time in the CRD complaint itself, including references to highly disturbing events that never occurred. The repeated use of the phrase "no more" before each demand falsely suggests that these alleged incidents had previously taken place and needed to cease. This implication is not only misleading, but entirely untrue. Let's see what y'all got going on. I think they were being nice, and I think they thought she was going to be cool, but she turned out to be a nightmare. Oh, he's one of the producers rule too? No wonder he got rolled over. I just think Justin is a soft guy, sensitive, and that's fine. And that's perfectly fine. But to do something like this, once you first encounter a personality like this, someone with his disposition should no longer deal with this person in certain capacities. There always should be a buffer person. And that's why I was asking, who are these people? What are their roles? Are they given these titles and they are not actually working these roles? Because this should have been nipped in the bud a long time ago, which makes me think how much did they get done in a month? If they got done so much that they got done half the movie in a month, they did really well. I'm just impressed. Yeah. He wouldn't get sued if he had a consent form. Interesting. Because for me in my head, all of this, when they wrote down all these contracts and stuff like that, that outlines who's supposed to do what and when they were supposed to do, as soon as she started trying to change the wardrobe, whoever that wardrobe person, what is it, the wardrobe producer? No, you can't do that. We've already spent this amount of money. We're not going to change this wardrobe. If she decided to walk, there should have been something in her contract that she had to pay some money back or something. It's something. It's like I'm missing something. Something is missing to me. Now I can say something I'm wearing doesn't make it okay for my boss or coworker to say that. Is he new to work relationships? And that's what I'm saying. It's like I said, there is some fault from me for him because he was too nice. And once certain things happen, because I'm sorry, as soon as Ryan Reynolds would have got up and started berating me, I'd have got up and walked out because that's his home, and I'd really would have to perform a fade on him in his own home. But I would have got up and walked out. He planned this. He made his text look innocent on purpose. The text from the PR team said they couldn't put what they spoke about on the phone in writing. Interesting. He planned to destroy Blake with his PR team and played victim with his editors to look innocent with his staff. I don't care if he feels comfortable with breastfeeding. What the F? Hi, hello there. Thank you so much for joining. Let's continue. Baldoni and Heath left the meeting deeply unsettled by the implications of Lively and Reynolds' behavior and the power dynamics at play. Faced with the mounting pressure and weighing the financial implications of what shutting down a film halfway through production would mean, Wayfarer made the difficult decision to resume production and finish the film despite fears that Lively was intentionally manipulating facts for her own gain. The stakes were extraordinarily high. Financiers have invested substantial resources. Hundreds of cast and crew members have endured months without work due to the strikes, and nearly 5 years of development had gone into bringing the film to life. Filming resumed without further grievances or reference to prior disputes from Lively, a fact that Lively concedes in her CRD report. And it says here, the parties agreed to implement the following protections for return to production to ensure that the film would be completed, marketed, and released safely and successfully. And it was. Production of the film resumed on January 5th and concluded on February 9th. The film has been a resounding success. However, the lasting effect of Lively's allegation left Baldoni uneasy. He and Wayfarer continued to make considerable concessions throughout production, all in the interest of successfully delivering an outstanding film. Okay. Says here, Lively takes over editing, fires the film's editors and composers, and creates her own version of the film at Wayfarer's expense, while the rightful director continues to edit his cut of the film. I'm not going to read all of this stuff, but just know that that's what she did. And they talked about it earlier. Lively demands a producer credit and an undeserved PGA mark. We talked about that earlier. They went over that, why that. We have the letter and everything. Lively's successful bullying tactics results in Baldoni's exile from his own film. We talked about that. Let's see what are the next bullet points, because sometimes they just go over all of this stuff. Baldoni forced to hire crisis public relations to combat Lively's negative press push. Let's read this. In direct response to Lively's oppressive tactics as described herein, Wayfarer and Baldoni retained Nathan and Tag as a protective measure ahead of the film's premiere. Contrary to the Times portrayal, Tag's engagement focused exclusively on defensive strategy and fact verification. Though, as it is standard industry practice, Tag prepared for the worst case scenario based on Lively and Reynolds' prior behavior. No aggressive tactics, e.g., astroturfing, what does that mean, y'all, were ever employed. Tag maintained this defensive position throughout its engagement, verifying facts and correcting misinformation without retaliation, a strategy endorsed by Baldoni and Wayfarer in an effort to reprioritize the film's significant social message. Meanwhile, Lively's publicist Stone launched a negative press push against Baldoni. At least as early as August 1st, 2024, Tag was Tag was made aware of Sloan's planning an unfavorable, false, and defamatory story about Baldoni's Baha'i faith to page 6. Sloan proceeded to feed false stories to the Daily Mail and the New York Post containing allegations that Baldoni was a sexual predator. Sloan would also plant a false story alleging that there were multiple HR complaints during production. This, in addition to Sloan weaponizing Baldoni and Wayfarer's hiring tag in Nathan. So we read all of that information earlier. We're not going to reread these texts. Now, this layout was much better with these texts. In spite of Sloan's effort to lambaste Baldoni and Nathan, it was Lively who ultimately stirred up her own public ridicule. And they have all the little different articles. A BuzzFeed article, looks like a Daily Mail article. Blake Lively goes into damage control, finally addressing the domestic violence in It Ends With Us amid criticism over tone deaf film promo. Let's see. This is the Daily Mail. What is this? Blake Lively fans blast It Ends With Us actress over tone deaf and shallow interview with co-stars. People are disgusted by Blake Lively's cutesy press tour for It Ends With Us. They still talk about this tone deaf. Blake Lively dragged for marketing light of domestic violence. Why is everyone mad at Blake Lively? Fans are not impressed with Blake Lively's press tour. The Ends With Us promo has failed domestic violence survivors like me. Blake Lively, It Ends With Us promotion called disrespectful by some survivors of abuse. Sorry, and I'm just reading the titles of these articles because they've got them all listed here. Sorry, Blake Lively, using a movie about domestic violence to sell stuff is not a good look. It Ends With Us was already problematic. Blake Lively's press tour made it worse. Indeed, while Baldoni sought to focus on the film's central premise, Lively incensed audience with seemingly flippant and tone-deaf remarks, encouraging viewers to grab your friends and wear your florals. Embarrassed by this self-induced backlash, Lively now seeks to vilify Baldoni in a dubious attempt to resuscitate her public image. While the Times thrust allegations of an offense smear campaign concocted by plaintiffs, the incomplete and misleading evidence supplied by Lively and on which the Times purports to rely proffers a warped view of reality. Setting aside the unscrupulous means by which the cited communications were obtained, the Times, as with Lively's CRD complaint, deliberately take these communications out of context to bolster a fallacious narrative designed in concert with Lively to quash plaintiffs. When viewed in full text, these hand-picked doctored communications lose their manufactured impropriety and disprove Lively's allegations. And again, we won't reread these. And see, why couldn't they have put these texts like this up earlier? All right. In the article, the Time writes, Lively's filing includes excerpts from thousands of pages of text messages and emails that she obtained through a subpoena. These and other documents were reviewed by the New York Times. However, the Times failed to review and or investigate the plethora of communications demonstrating that plaintiff had zero intentions of smearing Lively and every intention of simply promoting the film and its message. And this is a text. Good morning, team. So I was thinking about the response of this weekend, and I feel like what we should do is make sure to emphasize the voices of the survivors. It's going to be a lot of buzz, how much money the movie made, but I want to be the one that always direct back to the survivors. So I would love to come up with some sort of video or carousel of messages from survivors in response to the film. Not going to reread that. Not going to read that. Because we've read all these. If you're just joining us, we've read most of these text messages. Worse still, there are documented communications overlooked by Lively and the Times that expressly refute Lively's erroneous accusation. By way of example, throughout filming, Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath invaded Miss Lively's privacy, breastfeeding. Okay, we're not going to reread. That's nothing new. Though the Times admits that it had access to thousands of relevant text messages and emails, its skewed reporting makes painfully obvious that it failed to substantiate the false accusation hurled by Lively. Indeed, the objective evidence refutes any allegations that plaintiffs engaged in a smear campaign to bury Lively and destroy her reputation. Lively's wound was entirely self-inflicted. That plaintiffs retained crisis public relations to defend against Lively's unrelenting assault does not change this fact. So here we go, because this young lady is suing Wayfair and Baldoni. There's a third lawsuit out here. Curious, Stephanie Jones discloses confidential communication. Curiously, neither Lively's CRD complaint nor the article made any mention of embattled publicist Stephanie Jones. Jones, a former publicist to Wayfair, now insists, as part of a separate lawsuit filed in New York, that she was swept up in plaintiff's so-called smear campaign. And yet, in August 14 of 2024, Jones sent an email to Heath detailing her recommended strategy. Flood the zone with positives. We need to ensure that we promote positive narratives that the media outlets can't ignore. Currently, most stories are heavily biased toward Blake's perspective, leaving Justin unrepresented. It is crucial that we fight for every inch of every story, which requires far more effort than typical crisis PR want to put forth in our experience working with a specialized crisis team. Prepare alternate stories. We should mobilize a robust network of supporters and third-party advocates ready to counter these narratives on deep background as well as some on the record, making it clear that the claims being made are untrue and unfounded. Wayfair later terminated Jones for, among other things, having allegedly leaked information to the Daily Mail, despite specific instructions from Wayfair not to. Jones is notorious for exacting her revenge on any client brave enough to escape her grasp. Jones is equally notorious for her alleged maltreatment of current and former employees alike. Wayfair and Able are no exception. It is hardly coincidence that all of the communication on which Lively and the Times now rely were purportedly produced by Jones's company, Jones Work LLC, pursuant to a subpoena. The propriety of this alleged subpoena is unverified and at a minimum highly questionable given Jones's involvement and the means by which Jones first obtained these confidential communications. Able, a former employee of Jones Work, was forced to relinquish her electronic devices when confronted by a Jones Work security guard and an attorney upon her separation from the company 6 weeks after she put in notice and shared her plan to start her own business. Jones, on the heels of a damning Business Insider article and the hemorrhaging of clients, insisted Able turn over her electronic devices to allow Jones Work to delete all confidential and proprietary information therefrom. Though Jones initially agreed to release Abel's personal cell phone number, she reneged. 4 months later, Abel's text messages are now subject of Lively's CRD complaint, and the article plaintiffs are informed and believe that Jones invited the subject subpoena to circumvent her confidentiality obligations to Wayfair and inflict the most unethical form of revenge. What is this? Oh, so they have the Business Insider article, and it says Lively CRD complaint stated that she obtained the communications set forth therein through legal process, including a civil subpoena. Lively's legal representatives have since doubled down. The subpoena disclosed and referenced in the complaint was served on Jones LLC. The internal document referred to in the complaint was were produced subject to that subpoena. We expect further details regarding the subpoena process will be disclosed during discovery. The Time publishes a false and defamatory basis on Lively's administrative complaint. The New York Times is one of the most widely read newspapers in the United States, and once upon a time served as a primary newspaper of record, publishing all the news that's fit to print. The Times was considered a paragon of journalistic integrity and excellence, the gold standard for journalism in the United States, and a highly respected news outlet internationally. For generations, the paper's historical influence on the socio-political and cultural life of the country and its institutions could not be overstated. Americans long relied on the Times as a source of accurate and balanced news reporting. Viewpoint-based commentary was expressly excluded from news story. Indeed, for years, Americans grew to expect that the Times would be as legendary as Time executive editor A.M. Rosenthal said, tell it straight, or in other words, simply report the news without embellishing it or driving it. For much of its storied history, whether it was civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, Watergate, or other political cultural issues, through its objective, investigative reporting, and the diverse views presented in its op-ed pages, the Times strove to inform America through high journalistic standards, accuracy, and fairness. The publication has won far more Pulitzer Prizes than any other media company in U.S. history, with its first being awarded more than 100 years ago. But over the last 20 years, Times reporters have ever more frequently veered spectacularly from their own journalistic guidelines. As a result, it has become commonplace to find New York Times stories containing egregious factual errors or infected with bias. Such lapses have contributed to public distrust of the Times and a landscape where partisan actors can cry, quote, fake news with some justification. But the New York Times still wields a power and influential megaphone in the media and greater society. It is therefore under a solemn obligation to do the work necessary to get its reporting right. As reporters at the Times well know, getting it wrong can lead to disastrous outcomes for story subjects, including financial, professional, reputational ruin. And the New York Times set the narrative and tone for other news organizations, amplifying the impact of its mistakes. The instant case is emblematic of the Times having, quote, lost its way, as facts here make plain that the Times failed to follow its own journalistic standards, rushed to judgment, and with careless disregard published a story accusing plaintiffs of waging a smear campaign against Lively, causing a feeding frenzy based upon demonstrably false premise. At 9:43 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, TUI requests plaintiff's response in its reporting regarding a crisis communication operation conducted on behalf of Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and Wayfarer Studios to protect their reputation and harm Blake Lively as desired in a legal complaint filed today. TUI wrote in part, we are seeking your response to the claims of retaliation through this PR campaign, and we would welcome the opportunity to talk with you on record. Please offer any on the record comment, as well as any other information you think we should know. Additionally, please notify us of any inaccuracies. We need to hear back from you tomorrow by noon. At 2:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, plaintiff's legal representatives responded as follows. It is shameful that Ms. Lively and her representatives would make such a serious and categorically false accusation against Mr. Baldoni. Wayfarer Studios and its representatives as yet another desperate attempt to fix her negative reputation, which was garnered from her own remarks and actions during the campaign for the film. Interviews and press activities that were observed publicly in real time and unedited, which allowed for the internet to generate their own views and opinions. These claims are completely false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious with an intent to publicly hurt and rehash a narrative in the media. Wayfarer Studios made the decision to proactively hire a case manager prior to the marketing campaign of the film to work alongside their own representative, with Jones' work employed by Stephanie Jones due to the multiple demands and threats made by Miss Lively during production, which included her threatening not to show up to set, threatening not to promote the film, ultimately leading to its demise during release. If her demands were not met, it was also discovered that Miss Lively enlisted her own representative, Leslie Sloan, with Vision PR, who also represented Mr. Reynolds, to plant negative and completely fabricated and false stories with the media, even prior to any marketing had commenced for the film, which was another reason why Wayfarer Studios made the decision to hire a crisis excuse me, y'all. Been talking too much, I'm about to lose my voice. Hire a crisis professional to commence internal scenario planning in the case they needed to address. The representatives of Wayfarer Studios still did nothing proactive nor retaliated, and only responded to incoming media inquiries to ensure balance and factual reporting and monitoring social activity. What is pointedly missing from the very cherry picked correspondence is the evidence that there were no proactive measures taken with the media or otherwise, just internal scenarios planning and private correspondence to strategize, which is standard operating procedures with public relations professional. At 10:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 21st, 2024, the Times published the article. Notwithstanding that the Times was made aware of the egregiously defamatory allegations contained therein, it proceeded with publication without further inquiry. Indeed, in its rush to publish a one-sided, unsubstantiated story on behalf of Lively, the Times got it dramatically wrong. The aftershocks have been disastrous for plaintiffs, and they reluctantly and knowing the damage cannot be fully undone, being sued to hold the Times accountable for its egregious misfire. So, first cause of action is libel. We're not going to read that. Second cause is false light invasion of privacy. As alleged herein, defendants and each of them published false statements and concerning papers. To the extent of the trier of fact finds that these statements are not defamatory, plaintiffs are informed and believed and based thereon allege that the defendant and each of them intended to depict plaintiffs in a false, fictionalized, and sensationalized light in order to catalyze public, what is that, y'all? Opprobrium towards plaintiffs, stir public discussion of the article, and draw readers to the Times. Third cause of action, promissory fraud. Plaintiffs incorporate by reference of each and every allegation set forth in paragraph 1 on or about Friday, December 12th, about approximately, they just going back over. Just want to make sure. Yeah, we're not going to read that. Fourth cause, breach of implied of fact contract. As alleged that they at approximately 9:45. So this all is stemming. Sounds like it's stemming from the fact that once the Times contacted them about a comment, that they didn't. Sounds like they didn't give them enough time to counter what the Times had already had from Blake Lively. They just decided that what Blake Lively had was the truth, and that was it. So what do they want? They have a prayer for relief, for general and special damages in the amount according to proof, for all statutory penalties authorized by law, for punitive and or exemplary damages in the amount sufficient to punish defendants for the wrongful conduct alleged herein and to deter such conduct in the future, for liquidated damages, for cost of suit incurred herein, for attorney's fees, for prejudgment interest, for such other relief as the court deems proper. And as this continues, they demand a jury trial, and everybody has signed it who needs to sign it. Let me see where I left off with y'all. What do y'all think about all of this? Let me see where I left. I think I left here. I should have kept it up. He planned this. He made his text look innocent on purpose. Okay. He planned to destroy Blake. I don't care if he feels comfortable with breast. Okay, that's where I left off. Hello. After Sony said what they'd never seen someone berated like that, they publicly sided with Lively. The accusation of him using a PR team to destroy her, but he doesn't address the damning text between his PR team. Don't look at that. Look at my choreographed messages to them instead. Why would they need to ask if their team started a story if they never activated the plan? Exactly. Okay. And also it proves nothing about the plan. They plant 20 stories and then another in the pylon. It's not defamation not to promote his view. Maybe that's not what NYT or Lively Suits asserts about those texts. All right, y'all are having a good conversation amongst yourselves. Did you really? Okay, Abeling Jones. All right. All right, y'all. Whew, that was a lot. That's almost 3 hours worth of reading right there. Again, tell me what you all think. Have you read the Blake Lively's complaint? How does it juxtapose with this complaint? Why is he not suing Blake Lively for defamation? Is there more to come? What will we know? I don't know. This is gearing up. This is gearing up to be sensational. This is gearing up because I'm just fascinated with all this back and forth. I am completely fascinated with all this back and forth. What do you all think? What I'll do, when I close this out, I'll make sure to put the links where I got them from. So it'll be all three of them. You'll get Justin's, you'll get this complaint, you'll get Blake's, and then you'll get the publicist who's suing Justin as well. So I'll make sure that I'll put it in the description box when I close this close out. Y'all, thank you so much for listening to me. I really do appreciate you all joining my live. It's 35 of you in here. Please make sure you all hit that like button. And if you like what you see, please consider subscribing. Okay, because we do this every week, y'all. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.